episode of the Gospel Manager. We're so excited and delighted that you could join us this morning. Now, this is a good time to share the links to your friends and your family. Put it on your social media status, your WhatsApp stories, so that your friends can stumble on it and also click to join the conversation. It's Gospel Manager, and don't forget you could send in your questions at thegospelmanager@gmail.com via email or on the comment section of the social media platform that you are streaming this episode live, whether on Facebook or on YouTube. And don't forget also, you can send the questions via WhatsApp text and Telegram text at +2349047533019. The informations are also on the scroll bar on your screen, so you could take advantage of them. And also don't forget to share it to your friends so that they could be part of it. It's Gospel Manager and her guest, and we are so grateful and delightful to be in a new week and a new episode. I have in the studio this morning with me our mother, the First Lady of the Honor World International, and also the Supervisor of the Presidency Office, Reverend Vivian Gold Egbe. Good morning, Mommy, and welcome. Thank you so much, ma'am. And right away, I'll leave the floor now for God's servant, our Father, to give his opening remarks and also set the course for this morning's episode. Good morning, Dad, and welcome. Right, thank you, sir.
If you want to know a bright mind, I was trying to know this morning, and some of the brightest minds on the earth today, whether by science, whether by spirituality, whether by intellectuality, is there are two basic rules that can make you and alleviate that state of heart. Is one, understanding the authority of God with life, and two, understanding the authorities that are assigned by God to life. Spiritual authority, governmental authority, parental authority, all these sectors of authorities, when a man understands them, it is easier for him to enjoy the benefit of rest in his heart. Our problem today on the earth is not studying the power brokers on the earth. In church, there's a power broker. In the family, there's a power broker. In the office, there's a power broker. People don't understand that power comes with spiritual enforcement. So they tend to play with instructions when given from the top. And I can tell you clearly, some of the problems we've had in church is not anything than this disconnection from instructions. Some of the crises we've had in marriage is disconnection from the leadership of that family. And the same thing with systems of work. And if we understand that, and decent hearts will study manuals first and will always keep their decisions in line with the instructions that come, whether you like it or not. Some of the things that we should learn in life is that you don't need to like instructions. Your assignment is to obey it. People want to like it. And that's the reason why at one time there is no growth, because stagnation comes when laws are broken. And I want to advise that we should learn to study the manuals of anything we get ourselves involved. Because if we don't study it, there will be break in production and there will be break in human dignity. And that's where all the problems of the earth is generating from today. And I pray this will start these conversations properly.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, God's servant had pointed out a very critical thing, that we must, as people who have decent minds and bright minds, must make profound decisions with the understanding of spiritual authority over us. Now, that brings us to the very first conversation in this episode around spiritual authority. Now, what is spiritual authority? What does it mean to us? How can it help us avert the challenges and the issues that we are? Is that the reason why we are where we are as a people, backward, stagnated, limited? Let's ask God's servant and hear from him. What is the difference with the men of old who were under spiritual authority, had respect for it, and followed after it, and us who are in the social media age where we get information and make decisions rashly and from what we see other people do, or perhaps by the trend? Let's hear God's servant on this.
The fulfillment of the men of old is a clear indication that they were guided. The fulfillment of this age is a clear indication that we are not guided. So just imagine David without a Samuel in his life, how far he would have gone with all the threats that he faced in Saul's hands. So just imagine Elisha being leading the king and telling the king when there are battles and how to escape it. So we should understand that the reasons why some life at this age is not getting its actual peace is because people don't ask questions. And the questions is not for you to be informed. The question is for you to be guided. And guidance takes you to understand first. It takes you to be submissive second. It takes you to comply third. And guidance is not a program of a man's will. It's a program that sometimes goes against the will, but fulfills the purpose at the end. So let's study more on how these men succeeded. And it will be easier for us to also succeed, because the Bible is a print to give us how to go and how not to go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. God's servant had said guidance is for submission, for correction, and for alignment into something fulfilling in the future. But then I want to ask the very first question from my end, because what we have observed many people do in the guise of guidance is most times they try to inform whoever it is that they are seeking guidance from, not necessarily asking questions or getting clarity from. Now, this has made so many people make wrong decisions, and they claim that they had already made their guidance aware. But meanwhile, the approach in getting guidance was more of informing rather than seeking counsel. So let's deal with that, because there are many people, especially those who are out of ministry and those who are in ministry, who fall victim of this. So how can we come out of it and make guidance more proper and thorough in our lives?
Recognizing that somebody is ahead of you is the first sign of listening. This person knows better than me, has experience, knows what to tell me, is the first part of listening. And when you don't have people who recognize people who are superior, that's where the problem is. Every argument is a sign that you don't know who is better than you. Because that's where we are. We are in a system where people think they are better than people. So that's where all the crisis you see comes from. Any church, any system or organization that is not progressing, the people who are supposed to listen are not listening. So it's not going to grow. Any family that is not working, the people who are supposed to, somebody is supposed to be talking, and others listening. So when everybody wants to talk and everybody wants to act, everybody wants to be the leader, want to pilot their own affairs, that's the problem. You can't have two pilots in one plane. There are co-pilots. There's the head pilot. There is the head of the home, and there's the one to assist. There's the lead pastor, and there's an assistant pastor. Everything has a pilot and a co-pilot. So when we start having people understanding that I'm supposed to take instructions, I'm supposed to assist. God was not stupid for making Eve to help. He didn't say, Eve, this is Adam, this is Eve. Dress the garden. The Bible specifically said Eve assist Adam. He began the earth by creating a system that will work. He gave Mary a vision and asked Joseph to assist. God is clear in how life should operate. And the moment you start seeing systems stagnated, systems crashing, because people have refused to be piloted, that's just a problem. They now start taking, an assistant is taking a decision of the pilot, breaking protocols, doing what he likes, doing anything, behave anyhow. The same thing with marriages, the same thing with offices. And those are the reasons why there are no specific enhancement in all systems, and it's affecting every fabric of the human nature. So let's understand that the piloting of life must come from a leader, and that leader must be accepted, given the capacity to instruct. And then those who take the instructions must accept that they are not the pilots, they are co-pilots to assist that pilot succeed. The moment you have that mentality, you will notice that you have issues taking instructions, you have issues submitting yourself, you have issues correcting when you are wrong, and you have issues even when it is hard for you. You have issues complying to some decisions that are not pleasant with you. So when these things play themselves, there will be flow in progress in any system.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we take questions from today for today's episodes, and these were questions collated at the course of the weekend. Now the first question is on the ministry, and this pastor, a young pastor, is asking. He says, "Sir, when faced with opposition in leadership, how can one leverage spiritual authority to influence the outcomes, especially in a political terrain?" Now, I am a pastor and I am active in politics and I have oppositions. My actions will also reflect what I believe and how people will view me as a pastor.
One, understand where you are. Two, understand what you represent. These two questions have answered the question that you asked. Do you know where you are? And do you know what you represent? So sometimes we live our lives not because of the names we bear. It's what you represent. So his representation should teach him what to do and what not to do. That will answer the questions of his life. So he tries to know what he is and who he represents. That will give him what to do in that profession and how to go about it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Now the second question, still on the ministry. This one says, now I'm paraphrasing because it's quite lengthy. It says, how does the presence or counsel of a prophet affect political decisions and leadership direction? Because I have some members who are active in politics and who come to me for counsel. How do I know how to discern, how to guide them correctly, discerning God's mind for the state of affairs?
The Bible is your first language of direction. So it's easy when you know how God speaks to his people in the Bible and what you have to do to the people when they come, how kings are related to, how they were corrected, how they were counseled. So it's easier when you know the Bible. And number two, God will speak to you directly on what to say. So he told Moses, I'll be your voice. So that spontaneous act will come from God, not from a man. But he has to understand that he must always speak what God says, not what they want. Don't speak what men want, you speak what God says. And it's when you speak God's mind that answers will come. Answers will not come because you spoke. It's because you spoke the mind of God. So that's where the result is based, because you spoke the mind. So you want to see these guys guided, speak the mind of God through scriptures and from the promptness of the Holy Ghost. You will always have an answer to give to them.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we're going to marriage and relationship, and this one says, good morning, sir. My name is Obiajulu. I am currently resident in Warri, Delta State. So please, I want to ask the question about my marital peace, because I'm facing severe external pressures from both my work and my direct family. My mother-in-law and my younger sister-in-law, which is my husband's younger sister, are giving me a hell of a turbine in my home. First, my younger sister moves into my home for her NYSC, which I did not have an issue with, but now she is just doing things deliberately to put me off guard. I try my best not to react negatively. I have even mentioned my concerns to my husband, though he is not in the country, but he stays abroad. My mother-in-law recently moved into the house also. Now it is more like every day there is an issue here and there. Sometimes I want to just go out of the house and return late, but I know what that will be because they will begin to read it in a different light. So how do you think I could manage this situation? Because I've spoken to my husband. He has even spoken to them. At a time they left and then returned back again. What do I do, sir?
The wisdom of life must always be applied to life situations. Sometimes we want to be right, but we don't want to be wise. Sometimes you don't need to be right, you need to be wise. One of the things that we lack today, people try to be right, but not wise. You need to be wise, understanding that is an extension of the family. And then this thing would have been handled from the husband's end correctly. What is he going to do? There are some boundaries that have to be created in that marriage. Things that the mother is supposed to do and what she's not supposed to do. What sister. So to me, the solution is in the husband's hands. It's not in her hands. The solution to the problem still boils down to what the husband will do. But in her own part, she should try as much as she can, because the man is not seeing them act. It's what he hears that he acts on. So you should try as much as he can not to be wrong. So let them misrepresent her, but she should not have an attitude that is wrong about them. So, and then have conversations with the husband so they can create an environment where they have to stay somewhere else. If they are always looking for somebody to speak about the wife, for the peace of the woman, that decision has to be taken by the man, but she has to know that she should not end up with crisis with them. Wisely deal with these issues and make sure that she's not at fault in the process. But the man has to take a stand and take a decision that will not destroy his marriage because of his family. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so this one is very, very critical, and she says, "Good morning, Bishop. Sir, please, I have this situation that I just want to seek your counsel, having listened to your sermon yesterday in the second service. 3 years ago, my husband left to the UK to pursue his PhD. 2 years after, I got to know that he was married to a certain lady just to get a favor of a resident permit. And then they are now with a child, and I didn't know. Now, early this year, I had moved to Canada to also pursue my career, of which it benefited my 2 kids because the company with which I had secured a job had also agreed to pay their fees and cover their tuition. Now, sir, I am in Canada, and my husband didn't know I was traveling out because of a truth. It came as a favor, and I took the opportunity, just having an open heart. Now, to cut the long story short, during the times my husband was in UK, I felt betrayed hearing that he was married, and his family knew about it, and I was not aware. To crown the icing of the cake, they all traveled for that particular wedding, leaving me and the kids behind. Now I am in Canada. I want to make a decision not to refer myself as married, not because I want to remarry, but just because I am very comfortable here and I have the opportunity given to me by the company to work in the Canadian branch and also pursue further my academics and build a life for my children. But then, listening to your message yesterday, I just want to get spiritual counsel on my decision. Although it's coming from a very hot place, because I feel betrayed. My husband does not even respond to my calls and texts sometimes. Sometimes out of the moon he calls just to check how we are doing. He has never sent money in these 3 years. I have been the one taking care of the family. So I'm as good as being a single mom. Sir, what is your advice?
The foundation of that marriage has to be checked. The transitions that they have made has put them in those conditions. So my management rule now is simple. The guy has remarried. The guy has married now. She is still trying to build with the children. They are not into any kind of conversation. They are more of unofficial conversation because of the children. Let him make the discovery himself. Because there is no conversation that she has to build now that will change the fact of the recent status of the man and of herself. The permission that he deserves, he has lost it when that scenario played itself. So it's more or less that she's living a life of a guardian alone to her children. So the best thing she should do is to make sure she tries to build a sector for those kids and let them recognize that they have a father, and any day it comes for a conversation, they then come into an agreement. But if she tries to enforce it, it should look as if she's trying to seek for something else. So the day he wants that conversation and comes to the table, then she should let me know. I will tell her what to do, how to go about it, because of the children. And no notion of the man's event should be sold to the children until they are mature, and those conversations will be held. But if they are mature enough, let her keep the conversation until the man realizes that he has children and decides to see them. Then she can now make this conversation before the man and before the grown-up kids. But if they are still children, you should focus doing what you're doing for the kids and give them a better life.
Thank you so much, sir. So, Miss Cassandra, if you are watching this, God's servant has given you an opportunity to reach out to him anytime and any day. God bless you as you do so in Jesus' precious name. Now, this next question says, good morning, sir. I listened to Gospel Manager. I can't remember if it is the last one or the one before last, when you spoke about we having ego block our decisions and the reason why families and marriages collapse. So, sir, my question would be, how can someone handle unresolved conflicts in their relationships and marriages without letting their pride and ego dictate their response as a person?
You know, the progression of the man's mind is very powerful. People don't progress in their minds, so it affects a lot in their lives. I don't know why an offense should become a problem to scatter an entire home that has been built for years. You know, when you progress with your mind, you allow liberty to access that mind. You're now flexible, you can now forgive, you can now reconcile, you can now correct, you can now do all of these things at the progression of the mind. And in marriage, you must have that kind of a heart, a progressed mind. And you know, sometimes some people live in trouble. They just live a crisis-filled life. They create events of crisis for themselves all the time in marriage. So sometimes I'm bothered because of how people approach themselves. So it's simple. As you progress with your mind, you start understanding that this is the way I should behave. This is the way I should reconcile. This is the way I should talk. These are the things that are not needed in this home at this age of our lives. So you mature yourself into certain decisions. This conversation I had there for this person is them, it's not me. So you are listening to things, correcting yourself, improving yourself, condemning immaturity, taking maturity. And because the essence of everything is to make sure you have a good home. And how do you have a good home when you don't know what to do to have a good home? So sometimes people think having a good home is to be right. Having a good home is to be wise. It's not to be right. It's to be just be wise and you have a good home. So it's that wisdom I keep talking about that people don't have. And we keep doing that to ourselves and destroying what we have built because somebody wants to justify a certain right. And that is too risky for marriage. So we must be wise as we treat the issues of our marriage. But bear it in mind that the end should not be destructive. I don't know why you, at the end of your decision, you plan to scatter your home that you have built for years. So the end of your decision, you shouldn't scatter your marriage. You should reconcile your home, or bring peace to your home, or bring love, or bring growth, but not scattering it. How are you living your life by staying 50 years in a marriage and destroying it? I'm going to start all afresh again. What kind of life are you living? You know, people don't reason properly. They just think life is like a bucket of water. You can pour on the floor and go to a tap and take a fresh one. That's not life. Marriage is not a bucket of water. Marriage is time spent. Time, emotions, resources, age, everything spent. You need to know that as a human. If you married at 40 or 30 and you spend 20 years in marriage, that is 20 years. You are now 60. You want to destroy your marriage at 60. What's the next phase of your life going to look like? So we are not thinking futurity, and we don't think what the damage of our decisions will bring to the people who that marriage has produced. And that's why we must take the responsibility of building peace even when it's not comfortable for us, and making sure that that home will always have an end of reconciliation and of progression. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Well, we'll take this next question, and this one says, good morning, sir. Sir, please, again, to protest further on this bride and eagle thing, I have a very nagging wife. Sometimes I just regret marrying her, in all honesty. Most times I try to reflect, because listening to you and the messages, sometimes when I visit church or when I watch you online, it just reminds me of a standard and a model that I vowed to keep in myself from the very first day I met you. But then sometimes I just get so pissed off, because sometimes I will speak to my wife, she will just be on her phone and respond to me. I find it insulting. I've corrected her several times, but then she will just drop the phone, answer me, and walk away. This has played so many times. Sometimes I just try to overlook them, but it's becoming a pattern, and I'm more concerned because our kids are watching. I'm not saying I'm a perfect man, but then there are some things that we have sat down to discuss that she keeps repeating over and over again. And then when my mom visited and witnessed one of it, she just simply told my mom it's a weakness she's trying to work on. But the question is, for how long? In this case, sir, how do you hold back anger and just walk away and let these things go?
Regret is based on expectation. One of the first things you should do when you get married is to kill expectation. Yeah, because if you keep expectations, there will be a lot of regrets in marriage. A lot of it. So, the moment you get married, the first thing you should do, kill expectation around the person you marry. So, when you have done that, you can now start dealing with the things you don't like. So, you either have conversations, or you stand against it, or you look for a way to make sure it's handled. But I want to come from a very wide angle. I've always said people who don't have respect for people they are close to are not wise people. And I've always told people, a man who is respected in an office comes to the house because he's married. He's being insulted by a woman or by a lady who has a valuable position in society, comes to the house, the man is insulting her. Those kind of people are not reasonable human beings, because you should understand that the strength of everybody starts from the house. The strength of that man doing better in the office comes from the house. It does not come from the office to the house. It starts from the house, then to the office. And today we have very poor connective marriages, where the man goes home or the woman goes home, she's in a lot of crisis. They don't know what to do to protect the man or to protect the woman, who is like the breadwinner of the entire family. He is exposed, the woman is exposed, the man is exposed, and then it's as if he prays to stay in the office than staying at home. It's because the people around him are not wise people. His familiarity, his proximity, that is the problem. They know too much about him. So they tend, and when they see a woman walks out on a man beats the woman, disregard the woman, slaps the woman. I ask myself, how? What's going through your mind? What are you thinking about? Because I need to know your thoughts when you are doing all of that. So a young man should lessen expectation and have conversation with his wife, and then take the wife to somebody who is more respectful around both of them, to put the woman in order, because you won't be giving somebody pressure for nothing. For some of the crises I see in marriages, it's not even necessary. Unnecessary crisis that don't make sense. Something that is not even supposed to be discussed will be discussed. Something that don't even make sense is an action carried out. And the major thing that needs to bring progress with that family, they're not doing it. The family is not growing. The family is not doing well. That's not their concern. Things that has no value to the home is what somebody will want to die for. And I keep asking myself, what is the interest, this thing that you're fighting for? What is the progress level in that thing? Nothing. The family is having crisis that they cannot solve, but they are fighting for something that has no value. So we need to recheck our priorities in marriage. And let us fight for what grows the home, not what destroys the home. How can my personal interest be why my marriage will scatter? Because they didn't greet me in the morning. My home will scatter. Because I was advised and I felt insulted, my home will scatter. Because somebody insulted me, and then because of an attitude. There's a way we should understand that at the end of the day, it's not the marriage of another man that has been destroyed. It is your home that has been destroyed. So you must be wise. You must understand who you are with. And as I said earlier, what are the manual culture backing that home? Some of the problems you have in marriage is because people don't want to respect what the laws of that marriage is all about. The man tells you, I don't like this thing, you can't do it. And you keep repeating the error and feeling that he's your husband. And that's the problem. And that's a leader in the society. That's a very prominent man in the society. Prominent fellow in the society. Well respected by everybody. So we should be the first honor in our home. We, whether man or woman, be the first person to honor your husband and honor your wife. Your children should be the first seed of honor to your life, because it affects the entire humanity culture of any marriage. So the bottom line is, when honor is not recognized, these things will always be found in marriage. So let us go back to honoring ourselves. Whether you are angry, whether you don't like what is happening, please honor the person. You can have conversations differently. We don't need to have a problem to have a conversation. You can have a conversation that you're not happy over something, but you're not creating crisis in the process. You're not showing an attitude that will destroy everything you have built for years. Somebody who takes a big TV screen and hits it on the floor because he's angry, does that make any sense? That is waste on your part. So we should be careful when we get angry with people we are close to. We should be very careful with it. We should be very careful when we get angry with people we are close to. But that's where the mistake is coming from. A lot of nonsense is being said, a lot of behavior is being released, and it's affecting the growth of the family. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I'll take this question, and this one says, good morning, sir. Sir, please, I am a young girl. I am 32 years old, and sometimes I feel like something is wrong with me because, one, even at this age, I do not still feel like getting into a relationship, and I am very offended when people talk to me about marriage. My younger sister is about getting married, and it has no iota of pain or regret on my side because I am giving her the best support as I could because I am even the one that saw her through school. So my question is there anything wrong with me, or is just me being disciplined and maintaining who I really am?
You know, sometimes entitlement can be a problem. Self-assurance. Those are very, very poor pictures. The way you see yourself too can affect you. Please, she needs to know that no matter how much she helps her family, She also have her own personal life to live. She should work towards that. Marriage is a good thing. She deserves to get married. She deserves to live in her own home and raise her own children. So I will encourage her to love the unity that marriage brings and the assistance it provides, and desire to get into it. What she lacks is desire. She should just desire marriage and she should be married. For her to assist her sibling, that means she's a good person. So let her desire marriage and let her not disdain it. She should just love marriage and marriage will come to her. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, this question is sent to our mother, and I believe it's from a man, because he said, "Good morning, uncle. Please help me ask our mommy in the house. Help me ask our mommy in the house this question. I am a businessman and I am very hardworking. One thing I love about my wife when I got married to her was her dedication to God. She serves in the choir, and also sometimes she is posted to the children church, because she really loves children and is mature in that, because at some point in her life, she worked as a teacher. But my issue now, Ma, is sometimes I am down in business and I'm confused completely. And when I tell my wife, sometimes she just encourages me and leaves it at that. But I've told her sometimes I don't need this encouragement. Sometimes I want to come and see her praying for me, for the children, but that thing is not there. Even when we say we were going to do all-night prayers, 30 minutes into the prayer, she is tired. She begins to kneel on the bed, sometimes doze off. And this is really paining me. So is there a way I could instill a healthy prayer life for my wife and also have her pray for the family even without being told?
Well, first of all, the man should check himself first. If he have offended the woman decided to be quiet. Because if the woman have that interest in praying for the family, that was what she normally do for the family, and decided to stop doing it, something is wrong somewhere. So the man should check himself first, and then ask question. If the woman is offended, then probably the woman will open up and tell him the reason why she stopped praying. Thank you.
Thanks so much, man. Okay, so the initial question we had for you, I'll just ask you right away. It was sent last week, but we kept it to today. The person said, "Good morning, ma. You mentioned that at first when you got married, you were itchy about this ministry thing. It was not used to you, but you adjusted. Ma, please, can you share with us how you adjusted? Because I am really struggling with that right now. I got married to my husband, then he was a banker, and then he was an addict follower of his pastor, which I love and I do not regret even until this day. But then he is now being called into full-time ministry. He has quit the job in the bank, and it was like a shock to me. We struggled at some point, but now we are believing God, and we're thanking God for how he has sustained us and the family. But I'm not still used to this pastor's wife thing. How can I align just as you did?"
Okay, one thing you must understand for the ministry is not like working in a maybe, let me say, business, doing business, or working in an organization that is not connected to church. A ministry is all about doing things for God and believing God to be the one to supply the people's needs. This one is not working and expecting somebody to pay you monthly.
Yes.
But ministry is all about faith. As you work, believe God, God definitely will provide for you people. Because I know how we started. There was nothing. And God made provision for us. Up to date, He's still making provision for us. So she should just believe and follow the man if God has called the man to be a minister. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So we'll move over to the next question. And this one says, "Good morning, sir. Sir, please, I had always known you as a disciplinarian, especially in the days of Leo Kowense, Ezinei Avenue. Sir, those things that you did to us that we initially were running away from are things that are really helping me now as a young man. and also imbibing them to my young children growing up. But sir, the question I would want to ask is, how do I really know, as a person who everybody seems to be looking out to, how do I know when I have made a wrong decision and correct it? I'll give an example. Someone approached me for counsel, and I gave the person what I felt was the right counsel at the time. But on a second thought, I felt I made a wrong decision by the response I gave to the person. And by the time I had called the person back to correct it, I saw that the person had long run with the last counsel I gave to the person, but it turned out to be working, and sometimes it fluctuates. So at that point, how do we gain consciousness of ourselves? One, to put ourselves constantly under guide, not being around again somebody like you in the location that we are. And two, how do we make sure that we do not mislead people with the counsels we give because we feel we are the best at what we do?
It's like the question that was asked that a woman who is praying for his family stops praying. There's no reason for you to stop praying, because if the man is weak, he still provides for the family. He does not say because he's sad, he will not provide for his home. So you have no reason. That is your family. Whether you are sad, whether you are happy, you have a responsibility to make sure your family is not attacked by the devil. Because if that man dies in the process, or your child dies in the process, the negligence not to pray has killed that family. So because the man is not complaining that I am sad, so I can't provide for the home. So there is no reason. I've always said that you don't have a reason to stop what you do that progresses a place. Whether you are happy or sad, is what you are supposed to do. Jesus had no reason to die, but he died for us. So if Jesus Christ died for us for free, then you should do things not for reason, because that is where you find yourself. And that's one thing that is killing homes today. There's a reason why you provide for your family. You're a man. You don't have a reason. As long as you're a man, you must care for your home. As long as you're a woman, you must care for your kids and pray for that family to progress. So when if you have a character issue over something, solve it, but it should not affect the fabric of your marriage. For this person, as long as you are learning correctly, you should teach correctly. One of the problem is that we don't progress in knowledge. Something you knew 10 years ago is not what you need to use today. So progress in what you study. So whatever he learned at that time and is still useful to him, he should progress in sustenance and making sure that the knowledge he gets, and before he advises people, it should not be at the gates of what you want to achieve from them. Is what they will gain out of life. If I'm advising this person in the next 10 years, will this counsel be useful to this man? I told a young boy many years ago, I said, I don't need you to serve me. I want you to serve yourself. Are you following me? Serve yourself. Today he has lost his marriage. And the reasons why he lost his marriage is simple. I can tell you why he lost his marriage. He lost it because he's not listening to anybody. And that was the thing I was fighting for. The whole time he was with me. The whole time he was with me. So we must understand that the knowledges we acquire at a certain time, they are life wires. But they will not keep us if we are not progressing in the knowledge we receive. Because when you give people advice, you should check the future of where that counsel is taking them to. And that is what matters. So whatever he's trying to tell people at that level, you should be conscious that he wants to make leaders. He wants to raise destinies. He wants to make men achieve. That if they go outside that frame, they can still be useful with the counsel he has given them. To me, that's the most important thing you must aspire in life to achieve in people's life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we'll take the last question for this episode, and this one says, good morning, Bishop, sir. Sir, please, one of the days we had morning devotion, there was a huge presence. Initially, before then, I hear people say the presence of God is here, but I do not feel it. But in that devotion, I do not honestly know what we did, but we worshipped and praised. And I remember that our devotion normally lasts for 15 minutes, but we did that devotion for an hour and 30 minutes because we're all in awe of the palpable presence of God. We have not since that time had that experience before again. But sir, how can I maintain that experience? Because it was truly satisfying. Everything I did that week turned out working out as I imagined and even exceeded my expectation. So sir, how can I maintain that? That had been a discussion with myself and my wife for a long time. We tried to force it. I remember one of the nights we worshiped for 30 minutes, but honestly, we didn't still feel that presence. Is there something we're missing? Or is there something we did that attracted that? Secondly, my younger sister, which is my only sister and only sibling, we are two, out of a broken home. We were raised by our mother. I take care of her and I do every possible best within my powers to ensure that she's comfortable, which God had helped me with. But she's of the age of 25. I am encouraging her to get into a relationship, but she's very skeptical about it. Do you think I should force it? I should force it into her because once you bring the relationship talks, she shies away from it just simply because she is scared. Having gone through what we faced as young children growing up between my father and my mother, and what she has experienced also with her friends in their relationships. So what do you think I should do about her? Because I'm not tired of taking care of her. She's my only sibling. I want the best for her, and I want her to be the best that she can possibly be, but not missing the emotional part of her life. Thank you so much, sir.
From the last question, you must always encourage people to see marriage from the light of those ones that have worked. I don't like to tell people the ones that have not worked. I'll keep saying there are marriages that are working. So follow the paths that are working. Leave the things that are not working. The one that is working should be your reference, not the one that is not working. You want to choose a marriage that has disrespect and dishonor for family. What kind of person are you? And where there's a family that has honor, love, respect, peace, the woman knows what to say, the man knows how to behave. Why are you not choosing that one? So let us always give anybody around us the pictures of how peaceful marriage can be, how it can give you pleasure, how it can give you rest, how it can bring the best out of you. Let's keep selling that, even when they don't want to get into it. I keep telling everybody around me, you behave this way. You have the best of husband, you have the best of wife. Look this way. When marriage comes, this is how to behave. So there's nobody I've not told that. You cannot take this kind of manners to marriage. So you must always sell the picture of a good home ahead of people. Then tell them that this habit will give you a problem if you get married. And number two, whatever came that morning is not magic. It's commitment to what they do. When you have hunger for what you do, that presence will come. So they should go back to the kind of hunger they had that morning to pray. And that hunger will always bring the presence of God to your life. So as long as the hunger and thirst is there, God will always come there. If it's not there, then the hunger is the problem. If the hunger is there, God will come. If the hunger is there, God will come. I keep saying it. Whether you're walking on the street, whether you're sitting down, but you have the hunger to pray, the hunger to worship, God's presence will come there and envelop you. So it's not a problem of what happened that morning. It was the hunger to pray that brought that presence. So they should go back to what they did to bring that, and it will always be there for them.
I'll leave the floor now for God's servant to give his closing remarks and bless us for this week.
The gift of God in our lives must always give us the right decisions to make, and also make things perfect. The righteousness of God should make us act perfectly, behave perfectly, talk perfectly, carry out our daily functions perfectly, because perfection is becoming a limitation to the earth. Very few persons understand that we can do things with high level perfection, and that is one of the genuinity of peace that is lacking today. You are always trying to go back to conversations for the best to come out of people. So let us use the righteousness of God in our lives, progress it to decision making, progress it to our behaviors, progress it to our conversations, and progress it to how we relate. And remember, that righteousness gives you access to know the good from the bad, to know the right from the wrong. And when you start having these definitions all the time, it circles you out of the crowd. Let us know that to be born again is to emblem yourself with the righteousness of God. And that will go through everything. There should be, right, please take note, there should be righteousness in everything you do. Everything, there should be a stain of righteousness in everything you do in life. You are born again. And the moment you start having that as a touch in your life, it affects the results you produce. And my prayer for everyone this morning, let righteousness affect everything around your life. And if you do that, you grow to perfection. And one of the things that perfection brings is peace. So much peace. Unguided peace. Because you have grown to perfection, their righteousness. And the next thing you begin to enjoy is the peace of God and the peace of life. So I pray that you enjoy the best of heaven's righteousness. Let it be a part of all that connects to your life. Be wise and be blessed. In Jesus' name. Have a wonderful week.
And amen. We want to say a very big thank you to our mother, the First Lady of the Honor World International, Reverend Vivian Gold Egbe, for making it with us live in the studio at the Gospel Manager. Thank you, ma, for stopping by. And as God 7 has said, in everything you do, you must be righteous to give it the right touch. That's why we say here on Gospel Manager live, it's beautiful, and you, my friend, you can handle it. See you on Friday at 8 a.m. when Gospel Manager returns. God bless you.
There comes a moment in destiny when
Endorsement. In a world where many are called, but few are seen, where destiny is hidden beneath rejection and greatness is buried in obscurity, there comes a moment when heaven interrupts earth. A moment of divine selection, a moment of supernatural recognition, a moment called endorsement. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him from that day forward. 1 Samuel 16:13. When God endorses a man, protocols are broken, systems adjust, nations respond. This is not just a gathering, this is a divine marking. A generation will be chosen, empowered, and released. The oil is ready. Heaven is watching. Will you be endorsed?